Okay, thank you, Mr. Pedham, for the invitation to speak a little bit here this morning. I'm going to be quite brief, just a few short words to say. My name is Dale Roberts Keats. I was sworn in as the mayor of Bonne-Espérance on October 29th, 2021, and I chaired my first meeting of the elected council this past Monday evening, which went off very well. Of course, it's still very new to me, and even though I was a municipal councillor for several terms of office in the past, I still have a lot to learn. The world moves very fast, especially with the continuous advancement of technology. Being that we are not connected to the outside world all that well in other ways, for instance, by a road network, I think it's a wonderful thing that we are finally connected properly by the internet. The jobs that a lot of people do are dependent on this connectivity. It has allowed people to move back home to the coast and work from home because of the internet connectivity. And my former job that I did before becoming mayor, I was an employability and development agent for the MRC, which is the regional government. I would have been lost in the past year and a half since the pandemic started. As you are all aware, of course, in March of 2020, we all went on complete lockdown in order to try and stop the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Now, even though we were under lockdown, there were some areas and quite a few activities that went on as usual, albeit in a very different way. I was not allowed to meet with my clients in person, so everything was done by internet. And the fact that we had internet allowed me to continue my work, but in a whole new and different way. My clients' interviews in the past were all face-to-face. I met with them face-to-face because I did Bonne-Espérance and Blanc-Sablon municipalities. But it started to be done just by Zoom, by telephone and whatever. And if I didn't have the connectivity of internet, I would have had to use the mail, as some of you might call it, snail mail, and the fax machine, and it would have been a very slow process, and it would have been kind of torturous, actually. As I'm sure you can see, I'm all for the internet when it comes to being able to do my job, both before and after becoming mayor. I've already been a part of many meetings conducted by Zoom, and this here today is a wonderful example. But as with all good things, including technology, there may be an opposite side, so to speak, because where there's positivity, there's usually a measure of negativity as well. So what we are going forward, what we do going forward is to create some guidelines and some basic rules of conduct, I guess. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm assuming. This event here today is a great step in the right direction. That's my opinion anyway. You're all very privileged to be chosen to participate in this presentation, which will make you aware of issues related to this wonderful connectivity. Please listen well to these good presenters. They're going to present some wonderful things to you today, and heed any advice that they may have. Let's continue to make this a positive experience, and good luck to all of you here today. Thank you.
All right, so yes, my name is Angela Morency, and I work for the Côte-Nord Community Justice Center. Just briefly, I'm just going to close because I can see everybody on my screen, so just so I can move it over. So yes, a little bit about ourselves is that we are a free service should you need or should you have any legal questions. For example, should you have any questions concerning the laws surrounding work, employment, for example, or about leasing an apartment, or like what we're going to be talking about today, the laws that are implicated in online activities. So I guess I'm going to be presenting the little bit of the negative side of the internet. So I'm going to be talking about cyberbullying. So let's just get right into it. So this is basically who we are. switch. There we go. So today I'm going to be talking about what is cyberbullying, what are the legal consequences of it, and how to report instances of cyberbullying. So what is cyberbullying? Can anybody give a quick definition of what they think cyberbullying is? I can't see the screen either, so I'm just going to assume that everybody's on the same page. So is it only considered bullying over the internet? What about bullying via text message? Is that considered cyberbullying? Or sending things like harassing emails, numerous emails, a bombardment of emails? Does the law consider that as cyberbullying? Or is it only things that are done via social platforms, for example?
Lionel, can you come to the front desk, please? Lionel, can you come to the front desk?
Does somebody want to jump in? Somebody want to try your hand at it? Other classrooms listening in as well.
Okay, so cyberbullying is actually a means of bullying a person using technology. So such as social networks. So I'm sure we're all aware, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, those types of social platforms, email, forums and blogs, text messages, all of these things, all of these uses, all these technologies to intimidate someone. So these actions can actually be very devastating for somebody on the receiving end of bullying. And this is why we have certain laws in protection of these types of behaviors. So what does cyberbullying look like? So as we've already defined, cyberbullying is the use of technology to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target another person. Online threats and mean, aggressive, or rude text, posts, or messages, all of these count as cyberbullying. So does posting personal information, pictures, or videos with the intention to hurt or embarrass someone else. So cyberbullying also includes photos, messages, or pages that don't get taken down after somebody has brought it to their attention and has asked for it to get taken down. So simplified, it is anything that gets posted online that is meant to hurt, harass, or upset someone else. I also want to point out that there's an important differentiation to understand, that intimidation or mean comments that are based on focusing on somebody's physical characteristics, such things as gender, religion, sexual orientation, race, or physical differences, these types of discrimination or these types of insults or what have you is discrimination that is protected by our Constitution. And in these types of instances that the police could get involved and bullies could face very serious penalties for this. So what are some examples? So some examples could be a person receiving numerous texts from someone saying things like they're going to beat them up after school, they're going to break their legs, I don't know, or telling them that they should be fearful and that they should watch their back. Maybe somebody is using Facebook to spread rumors, lies, thinking that, you know, it's only a joke, it is harmless or what have you, but the person on the receiving end of these could have such damages to their character or their reputation. Or maybe it's someone took a picture or a screenshot or a snap of their friend maybe changing at the gym, so they're wearing little to no clothing, and then that picture gets leaked, and then that becomes a source to bully that person in the picture. So keep these kind of scenarios in mind because we're going to come back to them. So now that we looked at what is cyberbullying and how the law defines it, we're going to move now to what are the legal consequences of it. So what happens should cyberbullying arise? So let's do a little true or false, and this time I will wait a little bit to see if there's any response. So there we go. So between the ages of 12 to 17, young people are not punished for the crimes they commit. Is that true or false? Does anybody have an idea? I heard false. So good. So that is false. As of age 12, youth can be arrested, charged with a crime, and have to go to youth court. So if a youth is charged with a crime, they are charged in youth court. So that's the differentiation between youth and adults. So youth will actually go to youth court, which is a specialized court that takes into account a youth's vulnerability, their situation, their learning process. So there's actually guidelines to follow, so that the goal is that the youth will be, well, obviously learn a lesson, but be rehabilitated back into society. So yes, we're talking about the criminal aspects of cyberbullying, so we're talking about crimes, but it's also important to know that a youth can be held responsible civilly as well. So in our court system, we have criminal and we also have civil. So in an instance, for example, you're playing baseball outside and you break your neighbor's window. That's not a crime in the sense of the criminal law, but in this instance, a youth or their parents, because parents have an obligation to their child, would be held civilly responsible and probably more likely to have to pay for the damage done. So that's a civil suit versus what we're talking about, a criminal suit. And also something that I'm going to point out again when we're talking about 12 to 17-year-olds is that, again, going back to discrimination, that in an instance of cyberbullying being based on what we were talking about with physical characteristics, sexual orientation, what have you, in this types of instances, because these are laws in place that are to protect against this type of behavior, it is our Human Rights and Youth Commission that would be in charge of these types of instances, because again, it's against our Constitution. So more fun stuff. So the law doesn't treat youth and adults the same. So as I said, and this is because of the Youth Criminal Justice Act, which is the law that specifically applies to youth, and it has different rules and guidelines. So again, it's to rehabilitate the youth. So depending on the crime and the situation, youth can actually avoid court. So instead of having to have their crime brought before youth court, the police actually have discretion to instead, depending on the type of situation, depending on the youth involved, perhaps they think that it's actually better suited if the youth would just get a warning. A warning is sufficient enough when you have a police officer come up to you and ask you questions about what you're doing. Perhaps a warning is sufficient. Or in an instance of, again, that some damage was done, perhaps that they would have to repair that damage. So this way here, the police can take it upon themselves. They have these types of guidelines that they could act on these guidelines instead of having to file the charge and have the youth go to youth court. So of course, there are exceptions to this, and those exceptions would be that should the crime be a serious crime, obviously in an instance where something like, well, as you see on your screen, like murder or aggravated assault, in these types of instances, a warning is not going to be sufficient. We still have protections in our society. So of course, in these types of instances, the officer would give that case over to the prosecutor, and it would be the prosecutor who's going to decide the punishment for the youth. So if you remember those scenarios that I talked about in the beginning, and I said keep it in mind because we're going to talk about it again, let's actually come back to those and talk about the legal consequences that could arise given these types of scenarios. So I'm just going to use some random names, but let's say, for example, Camille sends dozens of mean messages to Pablo. So what would be the legal consequence of sending an array of these types of text messages? So it's actually prohibited to harass somebody by sending them messages that could make them feel threatened or fear for their safety. And then in this instance, Camille could actually be questioned and accused for the crime of criminal harassment. Felix ridicules Olivia on Facebook. What would be a legal consequence of this? So it's actually prohibited to harm a person's reputation. This is actually written in law that should anything harm our reputation, we have the right to our own reputation. So if you decide to post something online and it's not true, then the person has right for recourse. And in an instance where, wherever you're writing these types of things, these types of posts are now can actually be used in court. So just be careful of the things that you post online, because you never know when it can come back. Just because you post it, it's always there. It can come back. So just be cautious that somebody could be affected by the things that you say, and there could be serious consequences for that. Let's go to another example by a text message. So say, for example, Zoe threatens Aisha by text. She threatens that she's actually going to meet up with her after school and beat her up. So the legal consequences of this was that threats or threats of injury is prohibited, and that it doesn't matter if Zoe meant it or not, or intended to do Aisha harm. The fact that she actually said it and Aisha took it seriously is enough to be considered a crime. And in this instance, it would be considered like an utterance of a threat, which is prohibited by criminal law. And then let's do the intimate photo. So let's say, for example, that William shared an intimate photo of his ex on Twitter without her consent. So in this instance, again, we have the right of privacy. We have the right to our image. Again, actually written in law, a right to our image. So if anybody shares anything that we don't give consent to, there's a right for recourse. And something very important to keep in mind is that there's a differentiation when there is a minor involved. So when there is, when the person in the picture is underage, it could actually be considered a very serious crime of child pornography. So those are some scenarios that have very serious consequences. And yes, we're talking about the internet and how beneficial having the internet is, but also on the negative side of it, you just have to be conscious of what exactly it is that you're posting, what exactly it is that you're doing on the internet. And unfortunately, instances of bullying might not be only by one person, by one party. So let me click that on. So other people may get involved and join in with the bullying. And the Criminal Code of Canada actually has an article written that addresses this type of behavior. So not only the original bully could be held responsible, but also those who partake in the action can also be charged. So if you encourage your friend or help bully or engage in the prohibited behavior with your friend, you could be held to the exact same consequences. So those were the legal consequences, well, some of the legal consequences and an idea of the legal consequences of cyberbullying. If you are a victim of cyberbullying or know somebody that's a victim of cyberbullying, there are a variety of ways to report it. Obviously, if you are close to an adult, or if you are comfortable with somebody to talk about it to somebody that you trust, you can bring it to your school who has a duty to act. And then of course on your screen you can see that there is an array of telephone numbers that you could contact, as well as some internet services. So for example, I think it's like Need Help Now and cybertip.ca. So if there's any instances of cyberbullying that you see online, you could actually report it to cybertip.ca. And of course, you always have the option of filing a complaint with a police officer. So that is my presentation with the negatives of the internet. I'm not sure if you have any questions for me.
Does anyone have any come to mind? If you're comfortable with it, Angela, I could always share your email too.
Absolutely.
So
Yes. Let me pull that up. So obviously we are a toll-free number if you want to contact us should you have any questions of anything that I talked about or something that pops in your mind. No worries there. And also we are on Facebook if you want to follow along or find out more information about the different legal topics. Thank you.
thank you, Angela.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Latesha Fequet. I am the Place Jean migration agent. So today I'm going to be talking about the benefits of connectivity. So first, I am going to kind of explain. So I work at the Coasters Association. So the Coasters Association was founded in 1989. So we've been around for nearly 33 years. So the Coasters has been implicated in the health and well-being of the population since its inception. We have offered services such as the wellness centers, early childhood programming, respite, health, prevention and promotion, and now also youth mental health. But this is just a really short list of the services offered. There are and have been far, far more. And also due to the economic decline and population loss in the region, the organization decided to restructure and expand its service offerings from primarily social to include economic development. As part of this restructuring, the Northern Research Center was born and designed as a one-stop shop of services that is run by local resources and supported by a vibrant network of partners. So this includes researching our local resources, master's degree programs, business support, and so much more. The Coasters Association in the recent years has also put a strong focus on youth retention because we recognize that our youth are leaving and most are not coming back. Okay, so while I work at the Coasters office, I actually work for a provincial organization called Place Jean. So I'm kind of, in a sense, working remotely. So Place Jean en Région has been around for quite some time. So basically they will put agents in rural, remote parts of Quebec to get people to move out of cities and to rural. So Place Jean was established on the Lower North Shore in June of 2020. And I was the 80th migration agent hired for the network. So as the Place Jean agent for the Lower North Shore, I am responsible for supporting youth ages 18 to 35 with finding employment opportunities and moving back to the region. The support opportunities are basically all encompassing and can be anything that you basically could think of. And sometimes it's a little bit more unique for our region because we have some more unique realities, such as there's not a lot of services physically located here and knowing how to access services. So basically current job opportunities in your field, I can help you find. I can support potential employers that are seeking human resource. I can support you with entrepreneurship endeavors, finding accommodations when you move here, schools for your children and childcare, and any social, cultural, and supporting life activities. And the list really does go on. It is also my responsibility to organize exploratory stays for individuals interested in moving to the region and would like kind of a taste of what it would be like to live here. And I also do that virtually now, given the circumstances with COVID. And my mandate does also cross over to the adolescent sector, so ages 14 to 17, to generate interest and inform them of opportunities if they are interested in settling back in their home regions to live. Okay, so we're going to talk about, our recent connection to high-speed internet and cell phone service and how that has allowed for many, many opportunities. And the first one being online learning. So the opportunities for online learning have expanded enormously since the pandemic. But even before that, many post-secondary education institutions offered online courses, online programs, different resources. So you can do courses online, informal and formally, for almost anything. So currently right now, for example, I am completing a life coaching course online with Rhodes Wellness College in Vancouver, and it is 100% virtual and done in the evenings after my work hours. So there are career diplomas offered to build your skilled trades knowledge online. There's college programs that are offered online. Usually there are part-time and full-time options. And lastly, there are so many opportunities for online university education. So just if you want to simply take a course through a university, or if it's a course you may need to complete your studies or go into a certain career path. And then you also can complete diploma programs, bachelor's, master's online through universities. Of course, there's not an online option for every career path, so it's really good to do your research and that first. And there are so many benefits to pursuing education, post-secondary education in person, of course, but sometimes that's not always an option. Okay, and it's kind of been touched on a little bit already. I know the mayor, Dale touched on it a bit, but remote work is a big thing now. So the recent connection to high-speed internet and cell phone service has allowed people who are physically living on the Lower North Shore in one of the 15 communities to be working remotely for a company that is not located on the Lower North Shore. And then also, if you are living elsewhere in the world, you can find job opportunities available on the Lower North Shore with much more ease, because organizations and businesses in the region are posting jobs online more frequently now than they would have before. And then job platforms are being used by certain organizations such as Indeed, and also the Place aux Jeunes website has a job board, but there's so many other platforms being used. And also employers do have websites where they post their career opportunities. So you just simply go through the website or the app, search the location you are seeking, and job postings will be listed. Okay, so entrepreneurship now is made a little bit easier. So if you're interested in starting your own business, you can do it right from your phone. So access to apps such as Instagram, Etsy, Shopify, and many, many more allow you to sell your products online. As your business gets a little bit more sophisticated, you will find that you can access your online accounts for all your business needs, such as Revenu Quebec, the Registry Entreprise, and so on. Sorry for my French. So basically, you can do everything for your business from your phone or from your computer with a little bit more ease now that we have access to high-speed internet. Yeah. Okay, so connection with others is really, really important. So there's something for everyone. So being in small isolated communities, there aren't always activities and things happening that interest everyone. You know, sometimes our offerings are very limited. So the internet can be a way to find something that suits your interests or connect with people who have the same interests as you. And it's also very important to use your voice. And our recent connectivity can kind of allow for us to use our voice in maybe a different way or using a different platform, reaching more people. Now we can kind of reach people that are on the other side of the Lower North Shore. When we're here in St. Paul's, we could reach people in Kigaska and everybody in between. So the recent connectivity can be a platform to share, advocate, and communicate what you're passionate about. In small communities, it can be hard to find the right channel to use your voice or feel comfortable to do so. The use of social media apps has changed that. Although this can go hand in hand with what Angela spoke about, so it's important to be very cautious, and it's important to be respectful and kind to others always. If done in the right way, expressing ourselves can break stigmas and isolation. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the mental wellness benefits of being connected. Okay, so first, support systems, which are extremely important. So we are better connected to our friends and family than we ever were before. Messages on Facebook and other apps send faster. We are able to text, FaceTime, and use so many other modes of communication because of our recent connectivity. Good support systems are essential for mental wellness. This is not only limited to friends and family, but anyone that has become a positive influence in your life. Especially leaving home at such a young age, it is so important to be better connected with our loved ones back home or wherever they may be in the world. Okay, so there's also a lot of apps for mental wellness. So now there's so many different things that you can access right from your phone to support your mental wellness and, you know, do some self-care practices. This is just a very, very small list, and it's not for everybody, of course, but there's guided meditation apps which increase attention and concentration. They reduce stress and anxiety and a lot more. Positive affirmation apps, so they boost your self-esteem, promote a growth mindset, and can combat intrusive negative thoughts. Guided journaling apps reduce stress levels, help you process strong emotions, and many other benefits. The list does go on, and if you're interested in downloading any apps, it's super important to do research first, because you know you can find what's best for you, what are the best apps, and really what's best overall for what you're looking for. Okay, and then so mental wellness services, being so isolated and such, you know, living in small communities, there isn't a huge list of resources, obviously, that we have at our fingertips. So not only are the benefits of new apps really important, but the fact that we can now access different mental health services outside of our region is, I think, is a game changer. So with high-speed connection, allowing for access to Zoom and other similar platforms, it is much easier to seek support outside of our region. And of course, as the saying goes, there's an app for that. So now that we have high-speed internet and cell phone service, it is also our reality that we can access an app for nearly everything. Or, you know, go online and do things very quickly. So it has made our lives so much more simplified and time efficient. Some examples are, you know, online shopping, so checking local business hours and other important information such as restaurant menus, what our businesses are selling, checking the weather on your phone, being able to check your email from your phone and emails actually loading, having a calendar on your phone, access to music, podcasts, TV and movies, Netflix, you know, games, being able to stream online. And I think you can like talk to other people while you're gaming online. So that's kind of cool. Banking online, but that's just a very, very short list. And obviously there is so much more. So I'm sure that I'm missing something about the key benefits of connectivity because there is so much. So if there's anything that you think that I didn't cover, please feel free to let me know what you think I'm missing. Although there are so many positives to connectivity, Angela's presentation is very real. So be careful, take breaks from social media when needed, and monitor your screen time. And just always remember to be respectful, kind, and think about how what you're saying on social media can affect somebody else. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. I would love to answer any questions now, or if you can think of anything later, you can contact me. So here's my email. You can also contact me on Facebook if you're more comfortable with that. Alex can give my email out, but either way, either platform works. So that's it. My presentation is done.
Okay, thank you, Latesha. That was great. This is all the ways you can connect with us afterwards. Yeah, well, thanks so much for listening.